welcome. My name is Justine, and this is my channel, Thalo Towers. I will be filming myself doing nail art tutorials, trying out new products, and just in general trying out different designs and kind of breaking them down for someone who is maybe just starting out, who wants to try something but not sure how someone got a certain effect on a nail or did a certain design. And I'll do my best to break it down and show tips and tricks that I've learned myself and that maybe can help others. I plan to keep all the videos on this page in real time, not sped up or anything, so that hopefully we can also bring a sense of realism back into nail art and in the nail community, because naturally, art takes time, and sometimes with all the sped up videos, that sense of realism and understanding that these things do take time is lost along the way. So for this video, it'll be New Year's Eve nails. More recently, I've been seeing designs that are mostly black, gold, and silver. This is just something a little different. Not super off the beaten path, because it's still probably going to be a popular design for New Year's Eve because it is fireworks. So this is just me showing how I did them, how to maybe recreate the look yourself if that's what you're looking to do. I've already sized these nails according to a picture that I received from one of my clients. The way that I did that is I had her take a picture with her hands next to a dime, and making sure that the picture was top down of her hands. And then I sized the dime to perspective on my iPad, and then I sized the nails based off of that picture. And I've seen some success with this. Sometimes it's a little iffy, so if you're selling press-ons, maybe add in a couple extra sizes just in case. But for the most part, it works. So I've already sized these to my client, and I've prepped them, I've buffed them, I filed off any edges, any kind of production mistakes, where sometimes they'll have that little kind of plastic edge on them. So I've filed off all that, I've buffed them, and then I added the base layer, the base color, which is from D&D. I think it's called Ocean Day or Earth Day. I believe it's Earth Day. And then I have topped Earth Day with a color from Born Pretty. It's a rainbow magnetic cat's eye reflective gel. And then for the pinkies, I just did a different color from D&D, and it's just like a sparkly iridescent white kind of gel color. It's clear, but the sparkles in it are more white, transparent, iridescent. I'm not sure how to describe it. It's like Twinkle star or something. And here I am. I'm just painting the white, the light starbursts from the fireworks in a kind of circular pattern. I'm twisting it to make sure that it's rounded, if that makes sense. I'm twisting the nail around so I can have one point of origin for the initial explosion of the firework. Whenever you're watching a firework, it shoots off and then it explodes in that point of origin, and that's where the light comes from. So all those bits of light and those streams are, coming off that center point. So a good way to get that with the press-on is just twist it with your point of origin pointing directly towards you. And that's a good way to kind of keep the lines uniform and in one direction, if that makes sense. Because if your lines are looking kind of wonky, it does ruin the effect a little bit. And I'm using just a medium length liner brush, nothing super fancy. I think I got it off of AliExpress in a pack for maybe $1 or $2. I cut off maybe about 20 hairs using a clipper to thin down the bristles on the brush so that way I could get some thinner lines. And I'm using that white liner. It's not a liner, it's like a putty or a mud kind of, it's like a paint. It's a gel paint. I think it's from Rosalind. I think it's just, the color is just called white. So I'm just going over the nails and painting, firework bursts. Wherever I choose, I try and mix it up just a little bit. That way it doesn't get too repetitive, but in certain places I have put, or I've moved the cat's eye magnetic gel away from where I'm thinking I want to put, a firework burst. So that way I don't lose the effect of the rainbow magnetic gel behind all the busyness of the fireworks. So you'll see me kind of like moving around, looking at it, just trying to see where the light catches on the magnetic gel. And then just like twisting it around, making that initial 4 points where they're quite perpendicular to each other, and then just going through and kind of splitting them into more halves and just continuing to add lines. And that really helps keep the orientation of the firework in one spot instead of kind of looking like I just put lines everywhere. And I do apologize ahead of time, or I guess now, whenever I get a little out of frame. I'm not sure quite how to like angle my camera yet. I have a very basic setup. I record, I edit, and I upload all from my phone, so it's nothing professional by any means. So if you see mistakes, please bear with me. I'm just starting, so... So I will say, while you're doing this, just keep in mind that you're going to be doing, maybe 8 nails, 10 nails, if you plan on doing fireworks on all of them. So it is a good idea to switch up the sizes, the amount on each nail. That way it gives the whole thing some variety. No matter what, it's going to look cohesive. It's not going to look like you have a bunch of stuff on your hands because, you're putting all fireworks. You know what I mean? So here I am. I'm putting that in for a minute in a full cure lamp, meaning that it has at least 48 lights in there. It has a reflective bottom attached to it, and it's like an actual full cure lamp. It's not one of those like Amazon. Well, you can get a full cure lamp off Amazon, but I think you know the one that I'm talking about. Like it's literally just like an arch. There's no bottom to it. You just slide your hand in. The bottom is not reflective. There is no bottom most of the time, and there's not very many lights in it to actually cure the gel. This lamp is really big, and it's like a professional lamp, so that way the gel is completely cured. And the reason that you want a really good lamp to make sure that gel cures completely is because you can get contact dermatitis from the raw gel. If it's not cured all the way and you have it on your hands over and over, that exposure to the uncured gel will eventually deteriorate, the moisture barrier on your hands. It will deteriorate your skin and eventually cause allergic reactions and contact dermatitis. And you don't want that, especially if you like to wear nails and you like to have your nails done. If you become allergic to it because you've exposed yourself over and over again to uncured gel, then you kind of, you take that away from yourself. So if you're going to be working with gel, acrylic, monomers, anything like that, please make sure you have a full cure lamp, as well as trying your best not to get any of it on your skin repeatedly or for a long period of time. If you do get it on your skin, just do your best to wipe it off with some acetone or some alcohol. Alcohol works good, but it doesn't quite get everything off. Acetone is meant to break down those acrylics and those gels, so whatever works best for you. So here we are, just painting more firework bursts on the nails. I would imagine if you're doing this on an actual client or on somebody's actual hand, you're probably not going to be able to turn the hand that much, unless you have a really understanding client and they're like fine with turning their hand whatever which way, which most are, especially if they are a fan of nail art. Turn the hand as much as you need to, but at the same time, I think as long as you kind of are careful about how you're orienting the lines, you'll be okay. You don't have to turn it that much. But for me, I do. I have to turn it a lot because I am a little bit of a perfectionist. So I really want like perfect bursts, and I don't want I didn't want to do the whenever the fireworks kind of like burst and it's dying and it's kind of like falling down. I didn't want that effect because it's like the new year, it's not as exciting to watch like a dying firework. I would say the most exciting part of the firework is whenever it first explodes and all the color comes out. So that was what I was trying to capture with this design. And just continue to do your best, like painting the lines. Here I do mess up a little bit. I would say that I put too many of like the legs to the firework, because I do go back over after to add more white lines, and it does become a little too much on some of them where I put just like way too many. But I will also say for the lines themselves, don't be too worried about making them all uniform and all the same thickness, the same length. The more irregular the lines, the more dimension your firework will have. You're trying to create something that is 3D on a 2D space. So to give that illusion of depth, you want to have some lines that are thicker, that would be closer to you, that would be brighter, and some of them that are a little bit more scarce, thin, maybe even a little like skippy looking where there's a couple dots and then a solid line. All those are good because all of those things add dimension to your firework. It makes it look like, oh, maybe that one didn't catch all the way and explode the right way, because we've all seen fireworks, not all of them are completely perfect, so you don't have to worry about making these lines perfect on your firework. Some of them can be a little more scarce, some of them can die out, some of them can be a little bit thicker, and it's all to just add more dimension to what you're trying to create, which is that burst of a firework. And then after we're done with the initial, painting of the fireworks, we're going to go over them with some transparent gel. something that is not opaque. And we're going to be going in with like a neon color. For your colors, if you have something that's more sheer, that's not as opaque, you can use that by all means. But I have found that if you use an opaque color and just try to apply it thin, it will kind of muddy up what you're trying to do. So I would recommend, if you don't have like a jelly color, that you try and get something like that where it's a little bit more transparent, a little more sheer, so you can achieve the kind of look that we're going for. So the ones that I have, I ordered them off Amazon. It's from Beetles, and it's their neon jelly collection. So it's 6 colors. It's pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple, and they're all neon. So they all look really good under UV black light, and they all like are pretty bright, so they look nice, especially on top of white. They really stand out. And then they also only need to cure for like a minute, and since they're transparent, they do cure pretty fast, and they cure well, so it's not horrible to work with if you wanted to use it for anything else. There's the cap. I tried to put the cap and flip it so you could see. Yeah, it's Rosalind gel paints, UV LED in white. So I got it off of AliExpress for maybe $1. Yeah, I think I got white, black, brown, pink, and I think I got one more other color. I can't remember what it was though. I think it's gray. I got a gray color. And they're very opaque. They work very well. I think it's almost like a spider gel consistency, because whenever you try and wipe it off of your brush, it gives that kind of like stringy effect. So I think you could also use these gel paints for like a design that you would want to use spider gel with as well. They probably just rebranded it. It's all the same stuff. So again, sorry, I'm like out of frame, but yeah, it's the same thing that we've been doing. We're just painting the firework burst. And we're almost done with this first part. And after this initial part, the design does move pretty quick. I wouldn't call this a super sophisticated design or anything that's incredibly hard by any means. I've seen some really intricate designs that require a very steady hand, like the realistic artwork where like it's like Pixar or it's from movies. Like I've seen that. I don't even know where to start with those, but with these, especially with this firework design, I haven't seen a video tutorial, and I didn't look super hard for one, but this design I saw on Pinterest, and some of the designs that you see on there's a video. There's like a picture tutorial where they give you kind of like a step-by-step. This one was literally just a picture of firework nails, and I kind of broke it down based off of what I saw, what products I think they might have used. And so that's what I'm doing here. So I've broken down the actual design that I saw. The writing on the post is in Japanese, so I couldn't even look up products. So I'm just using what I had on hand, what I have in my supplies to recreate it. And you can do that with any design, as long as you know the technique that they used. You can pretty much recreate any design that you see. And sometimes the designs look really intricate, and it's actually what they've done is really simple. So like I said, this is not sped up or it's in real time. So a design like this, if you're relatively new, it will probably take you just as long as it took me, about an hour. And this was for all 10 nails, so It took me an hour to do. And then on top of like prep, and if you're doing it on an actual client, I would expect it would take a little bit longer because you're doing your prep work, you're doing fill, you're doing, you're maybe laying acrylic or gel, and then you're shaping, and then you're doing the design on top of that. So please give yourself some time and some grace. If it takes you a lot longer, it's no problem. These designs do take time. You're seeing, for the most part on social media, the end result of a lot of time, and I want to show that these things do take time and they do take some skill. So if you're more experienced in doing hand painted designs, then of course this won't take you any time at all. But if you're just starting out, I'm only a year into this, like seriously. I went to nail school about a year ago, and even in nail school, they don't teach design. They teach disinfection techniques. They teach, certain nail conditions, things that you can kind of spot as a nail technician and advise your client how to do basic services like manicure, pedicure, how to lay acrylic. And even then, that was like a one-day demo, and then we were kind of on our own to practice and to do all those things. So all these things that I've picked up either from other nail techs and other manicurists or nail artists, and I want to share them with everyone so that way, those who are new, those who are old, those who maybe want to do something different, they by all means can by watching and following along, because this is real time, it's not sped up. So I would think that if you could get all the products together, then you can follow along and recreate this design just as I've done here. So that's our final nail for this part. And we're going to stick it in the lamp, cure it. My lamp is motion activated, so if there's a laser in there, so if the laser is broken, then it will turn on. But because the base of my nail stand is clear, the laser just passes right through, so I have to stick my dotting tool or my dabber in to kind of block the laser so it stays on. So again, curing that for a full minute in the lamp. It's a full cure lamp. And then with this one, here I am pulling out the first colors for the neon. And I'm just setting them up on the side, getting them all loosened up on the tops, so that way I can just pull from what I need to create the colors on the fireworks. So here's the first one. I initially put a little dot in the center to kind of color the center of the firework, and then work my way outwards if I'm going for a halo effect. You don't have to do it like that. You can do the top half one color, the bottom half one color. Really, it's up to you how you want to put the colors on there. There's no rhyme or reason as to what you have to do. As far as what colors, what kind of colors, I would say use something bright like a neon, because the lights themselves from fireworks are usually a bright neon color. So I would suggest using a neon, but if you want to use a different color or something that's more saturated than a neon, that's a more pure color, by all means go ahead. But I think neon for this design especially works really well. And as far as the color combinations, it doesn't really matter either, because they're all neon. They all have that kind of same hue, I guess, tone, where it's very bright, very it's cool tone. I don't know how to describe it, but whether you want to add purple, yellow, green, blue, pink, orange, however you want, all of it works. It all looks good. There's no color combo that looks really bad together as far as this design goes. especially with these neon colors. So, and you can use the brush themselves to kind of blend the colors together. Just make sure you wipe it off on a paper towel before you put it back into your bottle, so you don't muddy up the rest of your bottle with the colors. So you can see here, it's just kind of, I just, slap it on there, thin it out, blend it a little bit if I can or if I want to. You can apply the color really thin for a more pure color, or you can add a little bit more to give it a kind of smoky effect, because it does eventually get a little opaque because of how thick it is. So if you wanted to, you could put it thicker and have it look more smoky, if that makes sense. Yeah. I'm not sure how to describe it, but you'll see at the end. Whenever I do kind of like a pass over all of them, so you can see all of them kind of close up. And you're just going to layer the color on. I will say, if you're going to go thicker, try and do a thin layer and then cure it, and then do another thin layer, so that way you have 2 layers and that it's thicker that way, because you don't want to put it so it's so bulky in one spot, and then you end up with kind of like a lumpy looking nail, because it'll be easier to like even it out with the top coat if it's thinly layered, versus if you have a big glob in one spot and then you have to try and even it out with top coat. You could try and file it, but then you risk filing off your design or giving the nail a flat spot. So it's just easier. Just do a thin coat and then flash cure it, and then do another thin coat, and then you can full cure it, and then it'll give you that same not opaqueness, but it'll give you that deeper, richer color without adding too much bulk. And I'm just trying to decide like what colors that I want. I didn't add blue initially. I thought maybe the blue would kind of sink into the background a little too much, but once I tried the blue out, I really liked the effect that it gave. And then I added it to other ones, because it really does look really nice. And it just looked like it was missing something without the blue fireworks. So I ended up adding it, because it actually didn't fade it too much into the background. I thought maybe it wouldn't look as good, and it would look like part of the firework was like missing or something, but I like it. And I will say again, if I haven't already mentioned it, this is like my 3rd time re-recording this audio, because the first 2 times got messed up, and then I had a bunch of issues with iMovie, and then I ended up using CapCut for this. So I will mention that I added too many white lines in my initial pass. So I would say maybe stop 3 or 4 firework bursts before you think you're done, because this one has a lot, and then I had to go back and add some to give it more dimension, and I was just like, oh, none, it's too much. So I ended up going over some of the initial ones that already had color on them, just to not add any extra lines, but also add that dimension. So yeah, I will say maybe don't add so much, and that way whenever you go back and add the second layer of firework lines, it's not so bad. But again, I expect to see a lot of people recreating this design, making it more efficient to paint on. Yeah, because here you could probably see, if you're very experienced, some wasted movements, some wasted opportunities where I could have done something different to make it faster to paint. So yeah, I expect to see like this design and many others, just like all the other designs that usually come out. The one person will do it initially, and then eventually everyone will start recreating it, and they become so efficient at it that they make it into like a science almost, where it like the design can be done in like 15 seconds flat, like not sped up. So I would think that this one can be made more efficient as well. So yeah, I'm just going through painting on the neon, and I'm doing a full cure on these already. I'm not going to go in and add a second layer of color because I really don't think it needs it. So I'm just full curing it, and then we're going to be adding some glitter and some reflective top coat from Born Pretty and from Beetles Gel line. The glitter that I use is from Beetles. It's like from like a multi-pack of little teeny tiny bottles, but it came with like a gold glitter, and it's like a chunky glitter mixed with like a smaller glitter, so it's like multi-dimensional. So I add that to the nails, as well as a reflective top coat from Born Pretty, and it's that flash gel, so it looks really impressive under a camera flash. So we're going to add that after we add all the color, and then the second layer of firework lines just as soon as we finish with this. But let me know if you prefer the sped up videos. I can do a couple, but for the most part I would like to keep these, regular speed, just to keep that realistic sense of time that it takes for these designs. Because I know for myself, coming out of nail school and seeing all these amazing artists doing all these crazy designs on these nails, and then someone will ask them, oh, how long does it take you? And they're like, oh yeah, it only took an hour. And it's like the most intricate design. I'm like, there's no way that would take me an hour. It would take me like 5. So it's a little disheartening, I would say, not to bash any artist or anything like that, but it's a little disheartening as someone new to hear someone can do it in an hour, and you're trying to build up clientele, or you're trying to, start something for the first time, and it takes you 4 or 5 hours to do the same design. So this is in an effort to kind of encourage those who are just starting out, who, maybe it does take them a lot longer to do a design and they feel bad about it. There's no need to feel bad. Because this is how long it took me. It took me an hour to do this, and it's mainly lines. It's mainly lines and just painting on, so it's not something super intricate. But for me, a lot of the time that it takes is not the actual painting itself, it's the decisions. It's where to put this, where to put that, how to, make it, how to do it. Because for the most part, I like to do designs that I don't see often. Like, I don't see often fireworks, and most of the firework designs that I saw were for 4th of July, so the nails were like a silver base with red and blue fireworks, which for me, I think those colors are a little too bold. And I wanted something more realistic, less 2008 kind of nail art era, because I think like the literal, I think whenever we first started doing nail art, especially for myself, like in high school, like I remember in high school, it was like neons and zebra print and duck nails. The first time duck nails was cool. Yeah, so it was just a very literal, like, if you wanted to do a design concept, it was a very literal sense of it, whereas now I feel like it's more, we take the concept, we modernize it, and make it something that's really pulled back, but I'm not sure how to describe it. I don't have the words. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's not as, I don't know, cheesy as it was in 2008. I feel like the design is more elevated. The concept is more elevated than what it used to be. Whereas for 4th of July, maybe back then it was literal red, white, and blue nails. But now you could probably use this design for 4th of July as well, where it's still got that same feeling of 4th of July, but instead of making it red, white, and blue, it would be fireworks. So this one, like I said, is for New Year's. So for the pinky nails, I'm going to be doing 2023 on them. I'm just going to hand paint the numbers. The hand painted numbers aren't that great. I don't do fonts often or ever, so you will see those towards the end. I'm not going to do those on camera because I don't know, I just didn't record that part. But I just looked up a basic font and did my best to recreate it, but like I said, I'm not super good at fonts. I'm not a professional by any means. And I've only been doing this for about a year seriously, so you'll see it towards the end. And you can critique me, whatever. I don't care. But, let me know what you think of the design in the comments. I would love constructive criticism. I'm sure I'll get a lot of comments about how much I say or like or any of that. How many pauses I took. You can hear me breathing. I don't know. Just rambling now because what else is there to talk about? You can see me doing it. So we're going to full cure that. And I'm just straightening them because it'll irritate me if they're like off, which that one is now that I look at it from this angle. My angle is a little bit different in person, but I'm just tightening all the caps on those because I have a tendency to like knock over my gels. I've done it plenty of times where I've like sent bottles flying and thankfully they didn't break. So now I'm just going to stick that in the lamp. I'm going to get the other one out and stick that one in. And then I'm going to start going over the ones that are already colored with the white gel paint again to add that dimension. I have one reference photo that I'm following. With the reference photo that I found, they have like a white ombre at the bottom, and then two of the nails are a different design. But the white ombre, I feel like in the design that I found, kind of gives that smoky effect, like whenever there's been a ton of fireworks going off for a very long time, and like all the ground is just smoke. So I thought that was a really cool effect, but I didn't want the smoky effect on there. I just wanted like as if you were looking up and just seeing all the fireworks like just explode above your head. So I didn't add that like smoky white ombre effect. I just added like the actual fireworks. So again, sorry, out of frame, but I'm just painting the lines. You know, I'm not adding too many. I'm not adding nearly as much as I did the first time. Maybe like 4 or 5 per firework. Nothing crazy. And if the firework already has a lot of lines, I'm going on top of some of those lines, especially the thicker ones, just with the white to cover them. That way there's not so many. But yeah, like I said, in hindsight, I would do less on the bottom. So you can probably see, hopefully you can see the ones that I've gone over on that one. It adds a little bit more dimension with the white on top. So And that's all we're trying to do, is just do our best to add as much dimension as possible. The magnetic cat's eye underneath, if you don't add it, I think it makes the design look very flat. But if you add that magnetic cat's eye underneath, it gives it more dimension, and it makes it kind of look like stars in the back. You're actually looking at a night sky. So if you're thinking about not adding it, I will say it might flatten your design a little bit more than you would like if you want to add that dimension. So we're almost done with this design. We're definitely getting towards the end. And it's going to be moving pretty quickly from this point on because, like I said, we're only adding a couple lines per firework. We're not going crazy. We're not letting our too much gene kind of go wild here. And we're just adding like 3 or 4 or 5, and then we're moving on. Again, if it takes you longer, don't feel stressed out. Just keep it going, keep it pushing, pause it if you need to. Or if you want to speed it up, you can always speed up the playback speed if you want. The talking will be a little bit faster as well. I'm trying not to kind of blather on too much and just ramble on about incoherent things, but yeah, so we're just putting that in for a full cure again, because I want to save the design. I don't want to bump it on accident. I've done that plenty of times too. So once you're done painting, just pop it in the lamp if you're nervous that you'll hit it, because I always do. So once I'm done doing something, I know that I want to keep it, I'll even do a flash cure where it's just like 15 seconds. That way I know for sure that I'm not going to bump it and mess it up. The gel that I'm using, the white gel, is pretty opaque, so it does need a longer cure time than I would say the neons do. The neons are okay with, maybe a 15-second cure, but the white does need maybe a little bit longer because it's very solid. So again, just a couple lines per firework, nothing crazy, just something to highlight and to give it that effect of like that just exploded effect. But if you want to do some that are a little bit more droopy, like whenever the firework starts to die and fall down, you can, no problem. The same rule kind of applies. Keep that center of the firework, because no matter what, like, it's not like the center is going to change. The point of origin of the explosion is going to change, but just once you get towards the end of the line, start drooping down towards the bottom of the nail. And then you wouldn't add the color on top of the initial part of the line. You'd only add the color where it starts to droop, because that's the part that's still burning as it's falling. So to give it more of a realistic look, you'd want to imagine, okay, if the firework is, going and it's still on fire, where is the fire going to be? Where is the light going to be coming from? And it's going to be coming from the tail, not the tail, but the end of the leg, if that makes sense. So we're on the second to last one. Again, not too many. And if you're doing it for the first time, where you're going maybe a little bit slower, don't feel bad if it's taking you longer than me. Feel great if it's not taking you as long, because you're doing better than me. So, and I've been doing this for a year, and this is my first time attempting this design. So you're definitely gifted if you're going faster. So keep going. And if you're like, you're already ahead at this point and you're finished, you can start adding, any glitters that you want to add to it. A lot of light catching glitters is good for this design because that's what we want. We want this design to catch light. We want it to reflect light back. So the cat's eye magnetic glitters are good for this because you want to have these nails reflect light back because that's what fireworks are. It's light. So the more that you have on there that's going to reflect light, the better that this design is going to look. You can add rhinestones if you want. I didn't. I wanted to keep this very flat. But you can add rhinestones. You can add glitter. You can add reflective gel. If you have like colored reflective gel, that's probably even better than neons. Just be careful with how much you put on so it doesn't, crowd the design or cover up the design if there is flash on it or you plan to show your design off on like Instagram or something. The reflective glitter might kind of take over your design and not make it as visible as it could be. So here we go. I'm taking that one, putting it in the lamp, making sure that I put this in for a full minute because I worked with the white. Because the white does need that full cure in order to not smudge if I go over it with something like a top coat. Because I have had that happen, especially with the black. With this line, the black doesn't cure even with the full minute, so you want to do it thin. And maybe like a minute and a half because it really is opaque and it will not cure if you're not careful about it. And then once you go to put that top coat on, especially if you're working with a high contrast design like black and white, it will smudge. Because I was doing a 101 Dalmatians design and I definitely smudged some of the nails and I was not happy about it. So you can see over here, I have the gold glitter from Beetles. And initially, I tried to go around the outside of the fireworks with the gold, and it just did not give me the look that I wanted. Because my favorite fireworks are the ones that explode and they shimmer. So it looks almost like glitter falling out of the sky. Those are my favorite ones, and I was trying to recreate that on these, and it just did not look right. It just looked like somebody just like outlined it with it took away the sense of realism, I guess, of it. So I was like, you know what, let's wipe this off and let's try something different. So that's what I did. This is wasted effort, wasted motion here. But if you like that, you can of course add it, but I do change this. So if you want to copy this design exactly, don't even worry about doing this part because I wipe it off. So you can see I'm like going around the edges of the design, and it's just, I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the way that it catches the light, and I am just like, I don't like it. And I'm trying to like move it a little bit. Again, touching raw gel is a no, don't do what I just did. And then I realized that, I'm touching the raw gel. So I grab my daughter tool or my dabbing tool, and I'm using that tool to wipe off the rest of the gel because I realized that I touched the raw gel, and even myself, I do my best not to do that because I plan on working with these products for a long time. So I don't want to give myself contact dermatitis. I don't want to overexpose myself for no reason. And just doing that with gel, no matter what the company claims, these are still made with the same chemicals, the same products. So please, even if they say it's safe to touch, don't touch it. So I'm going back, and I actually, on my brush now, I use that same medium liner brush, and I just cleaned it off with some alcohol, and I wiped it on a paper towel, and I just cleaned it until all the white was off, and then I grabbed the reflective glitter polish that I have from Born Pretty. It's sorry, excuse me. It's a top coat, but I'm using it right here. And top coats typically need 2 minutes of cure time. But for this, I only did 1, so that way it's still kind of sticky. So the actual top coat that I'm going to be using will stick to it. But I'm just putting that reflective polish inside the center of the firework. And some of them, I leave that concentration of reflective glitter in the center, but some of them I spread out into the legs of the firework, and it really does give a nice effect once the flash is on it, which you'll see at the end. But it really does look good, and I think the reflective glitter is the effect that I was going for with like my favorite fireworks, where they kind of are, they look like glitter. So here I am, I'm using the gold now, but I'm only putting the gold in concentrated areas. I'm not putting it everywhere, I'm just putting it in places where I want the nails to catch light and reflect it back. So it makes the design look really impressive, without being overbearing on glitter, which you'll see at the end once the flash is on it, and the resolution is maybe a bit better. I use cinematic mode on my phone for this, and cinematic mode kind of changes the focus as I'm going, so some of it might be a little bit too blurry for you to see, but once I actually go over the finished design, you'll be able to see it really well, what I'm talking about and how it reflects. But for now, I'm just going to describe it, and hopefully you can understand. But you can see I'm just putting that reflective glitter in the centers and dragging it out a little bit into some of the legs of the fireworks, depending on which one I want to do that on. But you definitely don't have to do it on each one. You can, differentiate between them. And I'm just going, I maybe did like a drop of this, so you don't need very much. And I just have it sitting on a little palette there. And then for the little ones especially, I tried to just leave the reflective glitter in the middle, because the little ones are meant to reflect like the ones that are just very newly exploded, where the legs haven't even had a chance to expand all the way yet. So I needed a little tiny extra bit, but yeah, for the most part, you only need a drop of it. So here I am, just adding a little bit more in the centers, and then going back for some that maybe I want a little bit extra on. Yep, just making sure that it's all there. And then I'm going to go back over with the gold, just like I did the other hand, and adding it in just like special little areas where I just wanted to catch a little bit of extra light, where there's not any reflective polish, or the, what's it called, the cat's eye polish underneath, because remember that is also there to catch that light and reflect it back. So yeah, but I think once you see the final design, it really is impressive, especially with the flash on. It just looks really nice, and it reflects that light, and it looks flashy and very just intense with the glitter, and it really is a pretty design. And I think you could wear it as a festive look and, you know, not look too out of left field. But yeah, this is pretty much it. We're almost done. And then I'll go back and show you maybe like one individual nail, and then I'll do like a quick drive-by of the full look after I've painted the numbers on, which the numbers, you can do any font that you want. You can do it in reflective gel, which I think would look even better than what I did. Just note that in person, without flash, the reflective gel might not be as noticeable as you want it to be, but that could also be a part of your design where it's not noticeable initially, but once you put the flash on, you can see the 2023 or whatever year you want to put on here. So that's my paper towel. I'm just wiping off everything. I'm cleaning up, making sure that I don't have just like raw gel sitting out. So I'm just wiping it up with a paper towel and some alcohol, making sure that I'm not touching it with my fingers or I'm going to get it on myself or anything. Because again, I definitely don't want to overexpose myself to these products. I'm like carefully pulling it out now that it's done curing. And then they are done. So hopefully you can, so there it is. So that's without flash. So you can see, especially on the pinkies, the glitter that I use, it's a little bit more chunky. And then for these ones, you can't really see the reflective glitter in the middle. But once the flash is on them, like right now, you can definitely see that reflective glitter that's on there, and it looks really good underneath the flash, and it will look really good on Instagram for your nail fees. There we go. Focus. There we go. So you can see how much light that these nails have the potential to reflect. So yeah, I would say definitely very impressive underneath the flash. And then here we are. With the overhead view. And this will be the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.